So you say you're gonna weigh more on the weights, but is it the weight or how you use weight that's more important, and especially when it comes to isolation movements?
Well, both really. I mean, when I'm saying like it's a war against these weights, I have to have this mindset where, you know, when Henry Rollins says 100 pounds is 100 pounds, 100 pounds. Well, that's true, and it all depends on how my mind is. Obviously, there has to be somewhat what I call a controlled aggression when it comes to weightlifting. Now, if you're a powerlifter, no disrespect to anyone that competes in powerlifter or is interested in it, but your form is just to get that from point A to B. Mine is to actually sculpt the muscle. It's a little bit different. There is really no point in adding too much body English on, you know, a curl or a chest press where my back is off the, you know, the mat and stuff like that. So I have to be smart and say, I said this in my seminar earlier yesterday, that practice does not make perfect, because you can practice really bad habits. Perfect practice makes perfect. So that's how I go about my weightlifting.
I've got a question over here.
Thank you.
This is to both of you, Sean and Phil. In bodybuilding now, it's all about like mass and everything, whereas like Frank saying for the 3 years that he had it, he was like shredded and really lean. Do you think that if bodybuilding had continued like that, that you guys would have been the first to come out as mass monsters, or do you think that you would have stayed with the smaller athletic group?
Sounds like a question for me when he says smaller and athletic. I'll make this real quick. I was born in basically the wrong era. I was about 5 years behind the time that I picked up the magazine to want to be a bodybuilder. You see, 1983 is when I first started bodybuilding. Chris Dickerson was about this big. The difference was he was 42 years old, 43 years old when he won the Mr. Olympia. In 83, my junior year in high school, Samir Banu won the Mr. Olympia. We look eyeball to eyeball, he was about 189 pounds. So I thought, this might be a reality for me, because I'm looking at him equal in terms of size. I wasn't looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Graduated in 1984, and that happened to be the first year that Lee Haney won his first Mr. Olympia, 5'10", 242 pounds. 4 years later, I find myself standing on stage next to Lee Haney in 1988 at my first Olympia, totally unprepared, got blown out. I was 13th place out of 26 guys, and that was a humbling experience for me, but it still felt like maybe there's an opportunity, because these other little guys had done it. Muhammad McAway in 83 and 84, 5'3", magical Egyptian, 5'3", under 190 pounds, was first runner-up in the Olympia 2 straight years in 83 and 84. I thought there might be a possibility that maybe I could become Mr. Olympia. In 1990, when I returned to the stage, I climbed all the way to 3rd place. Then I realized that this could be a possibility. If Lee Haney doesn't show up, maybe there's a possibility. And then in 91, Lee Haney announces it's his last Olympia and he's retiring. And lo and behold, who shows up? Another guy, 5'10", 250 pounds, bigger than Lee Haney, in the form of Dorian Yates. So I had to witness that wedding party for 6 straight consecutive years. Dorian gets hurt in 1997, and I think, okay, it's wide open, maybe it's my opportunity, maybe they'll go back to the smaller bodybuilders, and who comes along? Another 5'10", 260, 270 plus Ronnie Coleman, and he wins for another 8 years. By 2001, I realized I don't want to be part of his wedding party. There's not going to be any small bodybuilders as Mr. Olympia anymore. I hung up my posing trunks. Ronnie Coleman won another 3 consecutive years. I think that was pretty much the end of the mass monster era, because then you had Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, Jay Cutler, and now you have Phil. I don't think anyone's ever used the terminology as a mass monster as it relates to your physique, because you said it earlier. When you came on the scene, I just kept hearing everybody talk about myself, Kevin Lebroni, and Chris Cormier in a flex wheeler combination. You seem to be a combination of everyone, but no one's ever mentioned Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, or even Dorian Yates when they reference your physique, because you have that athletic appeal that is very rarely used in terms of bodybuilding these days.
No, I definitely agree. I just think it's, for me, it's something where I take actually pride in the fact that when I'm walking around even the expos and stuff, and people can see pictures of me on the internet, I could be wearing the same type of attire that you have and look just like a different type of athlete. Just, you have an athletic type of physique. But once it comes off, you're like, whoa, like, I didn't notice that you had the roundness and this and that, the structure. It was just completely different with clothes on as opposed to clothes off. A lot of those bigger guys, You know, you see Jay Cutler walk in here, and he's like that damn wide, man. Like, he's just that big, but how do I beat a guy like that? I have to create better illusion, making sure I am not missing one body part, not one little detail. And now we're at a point in bodybuilding where I think I can be an aesthetic freak. I can have freaky poses because I felt like at the Olympia, I won the most muscular, but am I the most muscular guy on the stage? I get outweighed by Kyrie by 20 pounds. But you can't tell, but that's because I try to come in sharper, more complete from each angle. That's why we do like the front relax, the back relax, the side shots and all that stuff, because we can see who's the best three-dimensionally. Because standing up there like this and hitting a couple of poses, you can only see so much, but when you turn to the side, you're thinking, gosh, like this guy actually has so much thickness and roundness that he doesn't, and that's kind of like with yourself. You're standing next to some aesthetic guys like Flex Frieder, Chris Corrier, Kevin Levrone, that outweighed you by a substantial amount, but yet you were still able to beat them because of the complete